East Division duke it out, and now it's time for the Western Division to duke it out once again. And as the riders, they stroll out, they get ready, they do the usual cyclocross 8-9 watts per kilogram start to make sure they're on the front. Let me just be sure that we are live. We are indeed live over on Facebook. So thank you very much to everyone for joining us tonight, right here on Zwift Community Live, as we'll be watching the West Division now duke it out on the same course as the Eastern Division did. 7 laps of the Classics course as we go under the Kiss Arch. I was going to say banner, but I was almost saying Barch. Kiss Arch for the first time today. So we're doing 7 laps of the Classics course out here in the Western Division. Some of the riders to look out for is Richard Gills, we got Ben Simpson, we've got Hoskin up here. These are some of the strongest riders to look out for. We got Yates in here as well, Harrison, and then these are the riders that really are gonna, these are the Australians that will play a massive and vital role to today's race here in the West category. So again, if it's the first time you're tuning in to an eCrit race powered by KISS and you're wondering what is this and how come there's so many Australians in this, well, the Australian eCrit series is a groundbreaking event taking place on Zwift every Tuesday at 7 o'clock for the East Coast and at 7 o'clock for the West Coast. 2 separate events. And over the span of 6 months, you'll be able to gather points towards an overall standing by finishing top 20 in these, well, electronic criteriums, as they're so called in their full name. Online, you gather points and then come to the end in September. The 5 riders who've gathered the most points from both divisions will be invited to a live racing finale somewhere in Australia. So all I can say is jump on, get racing, start scoring some points, start gathering points, start racking up that tally, and then one day you may well end up in a live racing finale somewhere being broadcasted onto the live stream. It's pretty neat, right? You can sense why these riders, they make sure that their calendar for every Tuesday is clean as a whistle, getting on here and making sure that their racing is in top condition. So earlier today, we saw the Eastern Division duke it out. We saw Troy Herfoss and Cameron Roberts go off the front relatively late, time trial together all the way to the finish line and take 1-2 on the podium. I said that was a pretty rare occurrence, but Mr. Ben Simpson here in the Western Division actually did exactly that last week. It was down to a 3-man duo. It was Richard Cook and it was Ben Simpson at the very end going head-to-head on this course, the Classics course, 7 laps, and in the end it was Ben Simpson, who's currently at the front, who time trialed his way to the finish line. Incidentally, he is also the current leader overall in the Western Division, rocking that Maratona del Dolomites kit as well as the Trek Imanda out there on course. 2.8 kilometers into the race, we're going to be racing over 44 kilometers today. It's going to take about 50 to 55 minutes. So if you're watching right now on your couch, on your chair, maybe in your bed, wherever you're watching from, go out, make yourself a cup of coffee, get a Coke, get a glass of water, sit down, and you'll enjoy 50 minutes of uninterrupted, great Zwift racing out on course. So we're seeing a few familiar names as well, not from Australia. eCrit is one of the riders that we watched in the KISS Down Under race last Thursday. Really strong rider, but I do mind you that you cannot score points, you cannot go down the official standings unless you are from Australia. So seeing riders from Canada, China, Japan, it's all good. You're all more than welcome to join the fun and race with the best of Australia, but at the very, very end, you will be excluded from the results. But nonetheless, you've had a great workout in the legs. Now, we're approaching the first little incline of the day. Going under Waterloo Bridge, I believe it is. We turn right, we go up the Whitehall climb, we enter into Trafalgar Square, and then we're about to hit the action. We're about to get into the fun part of this course. Everyone's going to start to kick it up into 5-6 watts per kilogram, making sure not to get dropped. We're even seeing featherweight power-ups being popped already as they crest the top here, and it looks like it's going to be pretty much all together. Ben Simpson into the 8 watts per kilogram, quick acceleration off the front. You got Walsh, a new name to the Western Division, maybe the start of something new here, as he's at 8 watts per kilogram. over Trafalgar Square, turning right, and he's got a gap of about 2 seconds, and Ben Simpson is aware to this fact, and he's trying to bridge across. We saw Ben Simpson do this last week. An early attack happened in the race, and Ben Simpson said, you know what, if I can come across, if I can just get on that wheel, I can just draft this guy all the way to the finish line. And that's what he did with the best in that race. And we'll see if he's going to deploy the same strategy today. It looks like so far so good, as we got Walsh and Simpson together with a 4-second gap down to Richard, Cook, down to Hopkins, Hoskin, Gills, Serge, Yates. It looks like the race is already split up. So very unlike the Eastern race, where East took about 25 to 30 kilometers for the group to shake up or to fall apart essentially. Right here in the West category, we're seeing that the race now is blown to pieces. This group has got 5 seconds on the chasing group, 8 seconds on the main peloton now, as Walsh and Simpson are hammering it down on the front. We've not even entered the laps yet. We're still on the lead-in to the circuit, and we have two Australians on the front, Walsh and Simpson. So since Walsh is a new name to the racing scene here, we're going to take a look at his palmarès over on swiftpower.com, as I am quite interested to see the efforts he can put out on course. Looking over at swiftpower.com, it's a great tool to keep up to date. We have Walsh. Actually, it looks like he's not a member of swiftpower.com yet. He is a junior racer, meaning he is under 18, I believe it is. And the last race he rode, he finished 5th. So, really strong rider who's got about 180, 190 beats to work with here. So, we've got a junior out there on course. Let's give Mr. Walsh a ride on, as he is showing up today, getting a workout in out on course. But I do remind you though that you need to sign up on swiftpower.com in order to be included into the overall standings. So if you wanna be in the runnings for this live finale invitation, you do have to go over to swiftpower.com. And over there you can sign up, you can link your Zwift profile to your swiftpower.com profile, and then all the racing you do on Zwift will then be transferred over to swiftpower.com, and then together you'll have a palmarès and you'll go down the results. And the reason behind this is that KISS likes to keep they like to keep on top of things. So when the racing happens and you're registered on swiftpower.com, they can look at all your statistics, all your 15-second powers, your 20-minute power efforts, your power ups you produce, etc., your watts, your weights, and then they take a look at essentially whether or not you can match that in real life, because you can also link up your Strava profile, and that way they make sure to keep the racing as honest as possible and the integrity of the race at the highest level humanly capable of, which is good, which is needed for an event like this. Walsh and Simpson, two guys very active so far on the front already. We got Yates, we got Cook, we got Pumpkiss, we got Hoskin at the back. Hoskin 6 seconds off the back here. It looks like him and his tax kit is gonna say, see you later guys, I am off the back. 6 kilometers into the race, it's gonna be a long day for Hoskin now, as he's gonna hang on and just never give up. If you're in this situation like Hoskin, never give up. It might seem dim, it might seem that there's still 40 kilometers to go, but all you've got to do is just dig in, keep holding that threshold power. You'll get stronger is one part of it, but also in case somebody else were to have a power outage, maybe would drop off the front, maybe really dig deep and then explode, well, you've been measuring your effort, you've been timing it right to make sure to keep that fitness rating as close to 0% as possible, meaning that your first half is going to equal your second half in power. And that's why if you are Hoskin, all you got to do is get your hands on the handlebars, get in that TT position, look down, and just start pedaling away at threshold power. Don't listen to your heart rate, listen to your legs, listen to what you can hold for 50 minutes out on course. Walsh again now though, 6 watts per kilogram on the front here as he's trying to bridge away a tiny bit. Looks like just taking a, it's one of those Thomas de Gent moves. If you've heard the story about Thomas de Gent of Lotto Soudal, whenever he goes in the breakaway, what he does is in the morning, very, very early at kilometer 0, when they, they wave the flag, Thomas de Gent goes onto the attack. He holds about 5 watts per kilogram. He looks back and he sees who can follow him. Then inevitably they get caught. Most of the time the first morning breakaway, it get caught and you'll see other riders attack away. But then he knows, when Thomas de Gent goes off the front, he knows who to look out for now, because he knows at 5 watts per kilogram, these guys can follow me, those guys can't follow me. I will then attack accordingly and I'll follow those riders. And I think that's what Mr. Walsh did right there. He looked around and he said, you know what? These riders can follow me. These guys are aware. These guys are attentive. I should be keeping an eye on them. Probably looking at Ben Simpson and then coming to the falls flat here and the Trafalgar Square climb. We'll probably see him attack again as we're going over the falls flat where we saw attacks being made earlier. And this is probably where, if you were to attack away, if you did not have a sprint, if you're not packing a sprint, this is perhaps where you would consider to attack off the front and go alone into the sunset. Even though it's a full moon right now in London on the Classics course, as we're about to go by Big Ben, turn left, go up the Whitehall climb, hit Trafalgar Square, and then from there on onwards it's about 1.6, 1.7 kilometers to the finish line. Well, we're about to finish our first lap of 7 on the Classics course. And this is the second week running where we're on the Classics course. I can tell you though that next week we will be on the volcano circuit on Watopia, where I think it's either 6 or 7 laps of the Watopia circuit, you know, the inside the volcano, about 4.4 kilometers in length. That will be interesting, as there's actually a substantial, like the finish. If you've not yet seen the volcano climb finish or volcano circuit finish, it is brutal. You have to enter the volcano at like a gradient of like 5 or 7%, and not even that. Once you've hit that gradient and you've gone up there, you've got 700 meters to go. Going into the sprint, the final 500 meters is another like 3 or 4%. So you've got to have your reserves ready for that race. It'll be a great race to watch. I hope you will either partake or you will watch next week here on Zwift Community Live. It looks like Cook has gone off the front. We had a bit of fun playing puns on his name last week, when at the very end of the race really did well to hang on, exceeded expectations of most riders out there, but in the end the chef got cooked. We'll see if it'll be a deja vu. We'll see if we'll have to do once again. We'll have to get the sous chef out for this one, as Cook is sitting in now, 6 watts per kilogram over that top of Trafalgar Square, sitting at 162 beats per minute. He looks fairly comfortable right now sitting in the group. Taking stock of the Australians in here, we got again our junior rider from Australia. We got Walsh, we got Cook, we got Ben Simpson, Popkiss, and Yates by the looks of things. Let's take a look at Zwift Power once again, because Yates is a new rider, I believe, to the racing here, and he is a veteran who maxes out at 162 apparently. So he is in a world of hurt right now as he tried to go off the front. Taking a look at Steve Yates' profile, he's a part of Team Watts per Kilogram by the great Marcus Neal. His FTP is about 3.83 watts per kilogram. He weighs 74 kilos and he maxes out at 162 beats per minute. So right now, Steve Yates is in a world of hurt. He's got about 5 beats to work with as he is trying to do his best here in the race at hand. Also looking at Popkiss, who we're trying to find. He's not registered over on SwiftPower.com, but he is a master. He's in the category called master, which means he's about 30 to 40 years old, I do believe. So we'll keep an eye out on Popkiss, as his max heart rate is being recorded right now as 180. He weighs 87 kilos, and he's been putting out 350 watts so far. Several strong riders out there, of course. Not sure where Gills has gone, but Richard Cook also looking solid near the front. He's got an FTP of 4.04 watts per kilogram, and he beats out at 190 beats per minute. Several strong riders here in the West category. Everything is still up for grabs. Nothing has been decided yet, as several riders race out on course. Taking a look at the front group again, got Walsh sitting in, drafting right in front of him, as we're entering the final few hundred meters of the first lap here on the Classics course. We got another 6 laps to go. A lap is about 4.5 kilometers in length, maybe 5 kilometers in length, with the altitude meters of about, a total altitude meters of about 50, which come every time you go up that Whitehall climb. You know, when you turn left from Box Hill, you go up, and then you got to crest the top, and that's when you're in your VO2 max zone. And most riders, when you crest that climb, you go, oh, finally, the resistance is gone, I can chill out. But that's actually when the greatest of cyclists, the greatest of Zwift racers will dig deep, because they know that you're in a world of hurt, you know you're in a world of hurt, they know that you want to rest, and you know you want to rest. So what do? They put up their watts, they pop their power up, and they're like, see if you can follow this move. And it's most often at the very, very top of the Trafalgar Square climb that the gaps are made. That's when riders get shot out the back. That is when riders really just realize that I need to ease off because there's still another maybe 5 laps to go. So it's always fun to watch the Classics course. It's one of the premier courses for racers to race on because it's got a various scenario range. We saw earlier today a duo breakaway between Cameron Roberts and Troy Herfoss, as we have a Japanese rider attacking off the front. But I think there is a gentleman's agreement between the Australians not to chase as Mitsutani has gone off the front. But the Classics course has got a wide variety of scenarios that can take place on course, because most often you see a sprint from a reduced group. You see 15 to 20 riders sprinted out on course where... Oh, sorry, I'm just getting messages left, right, and center from the earlier race thanking me for the broadcast. Well, thank you guys for racing out there. You guys make this good. And also congratulations to Troy Herfoss. But we saw a TT effort earlier today. Usually we see a sprint effort on this course where you see 10 to 7 riders duke it out, where in the end it's the aero power up that sometimes proves to be the determining factor. Or we see the very exciting case of somebody attacking from a kilometer to go, saved up a power up, maybe a feather, maybe a draft. They attack with a kilometer to go, and they just withstand that 3-second, 4-second gap. That is when racing on this course is at its finest, when you can't tell who's going to walk away with the victory until the very, very end. Always a pleasure to watch everyone racing here in the KISS race. And if you're wondering, what is KISS? You're seeing over the left-hand corner, and you're seeing it says KISS Racing. KISS stands for Keep It Simple Stupid. It's one of the oldest and most premier race organizers on Zwift. They organize races between I feel right now that there's one on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They have an event every single day on for all different sorts of strength, length, courses, flat, hilly, mountainous, whatever you really feel like doing. And the reason why it's premier is because it gets the most amount of attention, meaning most riders sign up for it. You always have somebody of your caliber, your strength to race with, which is quite fun. And while I've been mentioning that, we've actually got a gap happening here. It looks like Walsh and Simpson once again utilizing the fact that other riders are attacking off the front, and we got Simpson, Walsh, and Richard Cook. A trio. It is deja vu all over again. I feel like we went into that hot tub time machine, went back in time, and we're now back to last Tuesday, because it was almost the same trio. Take away Walsh and add I believe it was Hoskin who was actually in that group back then, and we have the same scenario with the same players. It'll be interesting to see how this one pans out now, as Cook knows Simpson is an excellent rider who's got the nose for finding the right breakaway, and Cook should try his best to just match Simpson out on course. Looks like Pumpkiss has been dropped, and Yates and Fisher 12 seconds behind, and that gap is only going to grow out, and it looks like our top 3 spots on the podium have almost just been decided right there by the breakaway. So great attack, great awareness from Walsh, Cook, and Simpson to bridge across and get ready for the final 5 laps out on the course. But again, if you want to take part in KISS races, they happen all the time, in the evening, in the morning, in the afternoon, 100 kilometers, 20 kilometers, TTs, whatever you want to do. Head over to Zwift.com/events or download the app on your phone to stay updated on all Zwift events taking place on Zwift by KISS, of course. And the rules happening on KISS... we have another attack right here. Walsh has gone off the front with Oxenham, Ikebe, and Mitsutani, and he's gotten 3 seconds on Cook and Simpson. So it looks like the young fox is pulling one over on the old hens of Richard Cook and Ben Simpson here. 3 seconds now, and now is the time to panic if you're Ben Simpson and Cook, because 3 seconds, he's right up there. Cook is trying to bridge the gap, and they can just taste it. They can see him up there, but it's going to require a match to be burnt here. It's going to require energy to be spent. You're digging into those reserves. Only 15 kilometers in, only 20 minutes into the race, and Richard Cook getting caught out. But it looks like Walsh is not done yet. He has bridged all the way to the front now, and he's found another group, and it's not over for Cook and Simpson just yet. Cook thinking he's made his way back on, but in the meanwhile, Walsh is attacked away, and that is Walsh right up there. Now, Cook and Simpson have to come to an agreement. Are they going to try to work together and sit at 5 watts per kilo for the next 5 to 6 minutes and try to bridge that gap? Or are we going to see an explosive attack, maybe 10 seconds of 10 watts per kilogram to bridge back the gap? Usually on Zwift, the latter option is the better, go in at 10 watts per kilogram for a small surge, latch on to the group, then catch your breath and sit in. We'll see though what they decide to do. It looks like there's like a sliver of hesitation here between Cook and Simpson. Either they really know what they're doing, or they fear that that surge that they have to put in. But again, as I mentioned in the East category, it's only really 1 point difference between first and second place. So the way Cook and Simpson have to look at it right now is that, is it worth extending that much energy to catch up to Walsh when it looks like the young gun can just attack away again at a moment's notice? So they have to look at each other and go, you know what, I would rather make sure I get the 19 points and then, you know, save my energy for the sprint, or fail and get 18 points and miss out on 2 potential points. Because right now, first and second place overall is Mr. Cook, and actually, sorry, it is Ben Simpson and Richard Gills who are first and second over there. Richard Cook is in 4th place with 36 points. So the current standings in the West Division is Ben Simpson first at 54 points, Richard Gills second at 46, Anthony West third at 41, and Richard Cook 4th at 36 points. So that's what they're thinking about right now. They're looking around and they're making sure that they're just saving up energy for the final sprint. Looking at the chat, we see Ben Simpson's in there, not feeling great today. Hope I don't. Sorry, I don't choke. Ben Simpson, you're looking great so far. Keep it up, man. Daniel Madden says, good luck, Ben. Madden was here last week as well. Thank you for keeping us company. Adam Stevens says, how come some of the guys' bikes are like neon signs? That is a good question, Adam. I will reply to that in just a second. And David Littlefield says, that's a bike you can earn. And it is indeed a bike you can earn out on course as we're going to the front of Walsh. So the neon sign you're talking about, I think could it be Mitsutuni who's in this? So that bike right there, which you're calling a neon sign, is actually the most prestigious bike on Zwift. You unlock it by achieving the Everesting challenge times like 1,000,000. So you know how Everesting is like 8,000 meters of altitude, whereas in this case, you actually have to climb 50,000 meters on Zwift to unlock the Set 1 concept bike, better known as the Tron bike. So that's what you got to put out. As Ben Simpson now is he's leaving Richard Cook in the dust, not willing to work together. Maybe he heard that little words of encouragement over on Zwift Community Live, and he has left Richard Cook in the dust. Just like last week, Cook is the sous chef, and Simpson is the one holding the knives. Good job, great attack, 2 seconds, and the ride-ons are raining in for Ben Simpson. He's trying to bridge that gap up there. It's actually only 7 seconds, and that sliver of hesitation, if he had this power in him all along, when the gap was only 2 seconds, that is when you make the move, because he can see them right up there. He has to dig deep now, as it's out to 6 seconds. It's gonna get easier, trust me. Once you get onto the back, it's gonna get easier. You're already spat out Richard Cook, who will just sit in and try to make sure to ensure his 3rd place. But Simpson still, he is a strong rider who has proven the fact that he can actually attack like this, latch onto the group, and then attack away later. But it looks like he's got a valid adversary in Mr. Walsh from Australia, who's been saving energy, drafting that group, and it looks like Ben Simpson is trying to get that heart rate down again. That was a big attack from Ben Simpson, and now he has to try and rest up, but not for long, because once he hit this false flat, that's where he can utilize the fact that if he's on a smart trainer, he's going to get a tiny bit of free watts to work with here when he accelerates once again. He can see them up there. That's going to add a lot of motivation to him, that all he has to do is another 5-second surge of 8 watts per kilogram. That's going to close that gap like it's nothing. But halfway through the race, already had 2 or 3 big surges of energy. you have to take stock. You have to think, that attack was really, really difficult. Is it going to be worth it to try and bridge the gap? And in pretty much 99% of all cases, it's worth bridging that gap because you're just going to latch on to that group. You're going to have a wheel to draft. Whereas right now, out on course, we see Ben Simpson is all along. Cook is all alone, but if you can just get one rider, one sole wheel to get onto, then you can save energy and you can keep the same speed, just like you would outside. Just imagine you're outside on a coffee ride or a group ride, and your best mate just dropped you up the climb. He's in front of you on the downhill, and you're getting on the flat section. Just think about how much easier it is once that downhill is done and you latch onto him on the flat section again. Just think about that draft effect, the slipstream effect you get by sitting on the wheel. That's what Simpson has to make the decision on right now. Is he gonna try and bridge the gap? Maybe he's saving another match till he gets to the Trafalgar Square climb, but he is close to being on the edge of what he can put out. Solid effort so far, and it looks like Walsh is the one putting down the hurt on the front of the group right in front of him, as we're about 30 minutes into the racing, halfway throughout, and Simpson, Cook, and Walsh are the three men at the front of the affair. So we're going to stick with Ben Simpson as it starts to rain out on course. Hitting the Trafalgar Square climb, Whitehall climb, here we go. We're going to see big numbers all around. This is where a rider like Walsh has saved up his energy, and now he can burst out 10 watts per kilogram, rocking that Zwift carbon bike with the 50mm carbon wheels as well. 9 watts per kilogram. Our junior today will be the senior rider out on course, as he is the strongest of them all. 15 seconds down to Ben Simpson, and he is just going to keep this up. He is not done just yet. He wants to be the declared winner. He wants to go solo all the way to the end now. 3-second gap on his fellow breakaways from all around the world, and Mr. Walsh once again now at 6 watts per kilogram. Can he keep this up? This is a stellar effort from Walsh. 20 kilometers into the race, and with that effort in mind, I think it's time to get some hydration in. Just like the racers right now, just think about getting a gel, getting some water in, staying hydrated, making sure the legs keep turning. I will do the same. I hope you do the same out there. If you're watching from somewhere in the world, take your glass out, and cheers everyone. Thank you for racing, watching, and participating, as always, in the Zwift Community Live broadcast. How do you like that, by the way? How do you like that water bottle? If you want a water bottle like this, and you're from Australia, we're actually coming down under. Zwift is coming down under for the Down Under Tour. We're heading to Auckland, New Zealand on the 22nd of May. We're heading to Sydney on the 24th of May. And we're heading to Melbourne on the 26th of May. Wait, 22nd, 24th, 26th. Auckland, Sydney, Melbourne. That's where we're heading. Check it all out on Zwift.com. Or on social media at GoSwift on Facebook, GoSwift on Twitter as well. All the information you need to know about our Zwift parties that are coming down under very soon is there and at the ready of your fingertips. And it's really fun though. Like, we give out water bottles, we are there, we share the good atmosphere, we get to talk to all you guys, you get to talk to us, we host a bit of a competition, you get to try out the newest of equipment, like the kicker, you get to try out virtual reality. I would definitely recommend you show up, and I hear there may be a few guest appearances that may make it worth your while to maybe drive an hour to head to Sydney, or if you're in Auckland, get on your bike and get in there, or if you're in Melbourne. All I can say is, if you want a water bottle, because these are really, really cool, and they're exclusive to our events and our competitions, I do recommend that you hit us up very soon. So, looking at Ben Simpson now, a minute down. It looks like his competition is now between him and Richard Cook. They'll have a standoff right now, a Mexican standoff, as they have a time trial. They're both head-to-head, but I think Ben Simpson has proven in the past that he is a capable time trialist, and he'll just work on his own, as we're watching Walsh off the front again now. 3 seconds on the group behind him, just sitting in at 5 watts per kilogram as we got our young rider. It looks like he weighs about 6.6, sorry. He weighs about 62, 63 kilograms. Let's take a look at Zwift Power to take a look at his information. He's actually 69 kilograms, and he's been averaging 336 watts so far. And he is doing just well out on the course. Thank you again very much for joining us over on Zwift Community Live. As always, you're watching the West eCrit series, powered by KISS live on Zwift. 23 kilometers into the race, we got another 4 laps to go, and I'm sorry to say this, but it looks like it could be all over already with a Walsh out here, bearing any internet breakouts, bearing any power outages or cramps. It looks like our young gun Walsh from Australia may just have this one in the bag now, as he just has to stay within this group and make sure he gets all the way to the finish line in one piece. 1 second ago, though, I did see the disc wheel. Is this Oxenham with a disc? So you're not going to see this disc wheel very often. It is a gift to all the early beta testers of Zwift. They have been awarded the disc wheel out on course, and it is the fastest wheel set out on course, the SIP disc wheel out there, and you'll only ever see that with riders that have participated in the early days, so back when Zwift was invites only and beta. So really cool, and thank you so much to Oxenham for Team Experimental for helping us shape this great product that Zwift is today. Walsh again though, still sitting at 6 watts per kilogram. I mean, I encourage his efforts out here, but this has got to start to hurt, sitting at 5 to 6 watts per kilogram relentlessly, just sitting in, not taking the draft, making sure that, I understand why he's doing it, keeping the pace as high as possible to make sure that there's absolutely no chance of Simpson, of Cook, or Gills getting back, and he's just extending his lead, because in theory, it doesn't matter if he finishes first or last in this front group. He's the only Australian, meaning he'll score all 20 points, and he'll start his eCrit series campaign off to a well start today. And all he's got to make sure is that he gets to that finish line. So that's what he's doing right now, sitting at 4.7, sitting at 5 watts per kilogram. And it looks like Ben Simpson before today, prior to today, he was our undisputed champion of the West eCrit series. No one being nearly as strong as him. Nobody could contest him in the sprints. Nobody could contest him on the TT efforts. But it looks like we've got a new contester. We got a challenger all the way from Australia, Mr. Walsh now, sitting in the wheel of Oxenham, utilizing the draft. You see his heart rate is coming down. He's breathing well, and he is drafting as we go on board, and we can see the back of Team Experimental out there, sitting on the wheel of that disc wheel. Going over the falls flat, turning left from Big Ben. We're going to go up the Whitehall climb, crest Trafalgar Square once again, and then Walsh has to just TT to the finish line. There's not really much more to say about this race. It is now a man versus machine effort now. It is Walsh and his bike versus the time. He's just got to make sure that for the next 20 kilometers, for the next 4 laps, he keeps the pace high, he doesn't get dropped, he doesn't boink, he has to make sure to stay hydrated, get some sugar in. I know it's an hour effort, and you say you don't really need a gel, Jesper, but it's a high intensity hour effort. So usually when you go outside and you ride for an hour, you sit in your zone 2, zone 3. I can tell you that Walsh right now is probably sitting in zone 4, zone 5, maybe even touching into zone 6 every time we go up this Trafalgar Square climb, and that's when you start burning your sugar deposit, your carbohydrates. Did I say that right? I think I did. I'm Danish, by the way. English is my second language. I do love speaking the language, though. But you start burning your sugar, and that's when, once that's gone, you start hitting your fat, and that's when you start to boink. And here we go again, Walsh into that zone 6, 10 watts per kilogram, featherweight being popped, and his beats per minute are through the roof now, as Walsh is doing great, sitting in now, and once again, he has made the gap. Dropped Wu, dropped Misutani, and dropped the rest of the guys, as he's 25 kilometers in now, and he is relentless every time, just not holding anything back. I'm fairly certain that he considers these guys to be his competitors more than his teammates, whereas if you were racing for the overall standings, if you're racing just to get points, you would consider Wu, Misutani, these riders your teammates, and you would let them do most of the work, and you'd save your energy, save your matches for the final 2 to 3 laps where you can just book it off the front. But it looks like Walsh wants to win it all. He looks to be a very confident rider in his abilities out on course. Whew. Watching this racing right now today, watching both the Western and the eCrit series, it makes me want to jump on my bike myself and start racing. But since I'm not Australian, and since I live in the UK and not in Australia, I'm going to stay off the eCrit series. But it looks to be a really fun event, and I hope if you're listening to this right now and you're one of the racers out on course, I do hope you're having your time of your life and you're having a good time racing every Tuesday, jumping on, seeing familiar faces, maybe you have a rivalry, maybe you have some neutrals, maybe you have some friends even out there racing, and you're just having a good time. That is all. That is what Zwift racing is about. That's the community. That's what makes Zwift racing so fun, is the fact that you're not just racing against bots. You're not racing against dots, and you're not racing against fictional, time zones or whatever. You're racing against real human people with real human efforts. So watching Walsh right now at 6.4 watts per kilogram, this is a real effort. He is right now on his turbo trainer, hooked it up to his computer, hooked it up to his iPad, and he's putting out real efforts out on courses. He hits almost 7 watts per kilogram. Again, 2 minutes and 30 seconds down to the chasing group, far down behind, as we got a collective pack, but Walsh undisputed on the front with about 3 laps to go still, as he's just cruising along. But that's what makes Zwift racing so fun, is that the community is so interactive, it is so engaged with every single pedal stroke, and that's what's going to make you stronger. It's what's going to push you further and further and further as you keep digging deeper, you keep thinking, oh, I can't do no more, legs are starting to hurt. When you start to get in that excuse zone, well, that's when Oxenham, that's when Misatani, these riders will push Walsh even further out on course. Again, if you're just tuning in and you're wondering, what am I watching? Who is this guy commentating? My name is Jesper Anker. I am your guy today. I'm broadcasting all the Australian races on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays, it's the eCrit series, and on Thursdays, it's the KISS Down Under, both powered by KISS. This race is the Western eCrit series, and we're watching Walsh right now time trial his way to the finish line and the victory in his first ever eCrit race out here. Over the duration of 6 months, Australian racers will be racing against each other on various terrains, but they will all be scoring points on a scale from 20 to 1, depending on where you finish, from 1st to 20 every week. So we highly encourage that you get out and race, because at the very end of this series, top 5 of the West Division and top 5 of the Eastern Division will be put head-to-head up against each other in a live e-racing finale. So you can be a part of Zwift history by racing from your basement, from your pain cave, from your bedroom, and then one day you could actually get a VIP trip to an undisclosed location right now, and then you can head over there and you can get to race against other people on a line, and they will be broadcasted onto the big screen. Pretty neat, right? Pretty neat. So get racing, get on there, start putting out the efforts, as Walsh once again at 193 beats per minute. Taking into account he is a junior, he most likely maxes out at 210 to 11, I would say. So still got more beats to work with now. He's out there and just digging along. It looks like he could be an elite racer from the youth categories in Australia with the watts he's putting out on course. Very impressive, but I do mind you that when you sign up for the eCrit series, when you race, you do open yourself for verification and validation of your power efforts. So once Walsh crosses that finish line, he may very well get a nice little message from the KISS organizer saying, hey Walsh, massive congratulations on your efforts you put out last Tuesday. Just to make sure that everything is as it seems, could you provide us with a real-life power effort that is close to the one you put out on Zwift? And that way we can then maintain the integrity of the racing at hand here. That's what makes this so fun and so fair, is that everyone has got this sort of like honor amongst thieves mindset. I mean, I'm putting out real-life efforts, meaning he's also going to be putting out the same sort of efforts out on courses. We're seeing a Walsh pop a power-up, and since we're racing KISS road race, the power-ups are allowed. So we're watching Walsh right now using that boost, the draft boost power-up. Even though he's got nobody to boost out there on course, he is still utilizing popping that power-up. As he's sitting at 7 watts per kilogram, he's trying to get into the second wheel, looks like. Oh, what's happening here? Is he having a power outage? What's going on? He's trying to spin it up again? What is going on here? Walsh. Oh no! No, what's going on here? Walsh, 30 RPM, 50 watts. Something has happened. Has he had a puncture? Is he done? This is why I said earlier, never give up. 135 watts. Is he waiting? What's going on here? There's still another 14 kilometers to go now. And Mr. Walsh, our current leader of the race, has a 2-minute gap down to Ben Simpson now. And he's trying to recover his heart rate. What's going on here? Walsh has completely stopped. I do not know what to say right now. I'm actually speechless. Guaranteed the victory. Walsh has stopped near the front now, and we're waiting to see if we can see Ben Simpson and Richard Cook out on course. It looks like the young gun. I see. He just quit. He just quit. Walsh just quit. Oh, now give me a second as I try to find Ben Simpson out on course. He just. I'm speechless. Yates, Walsh, destined to win the race, just left the race? What? I want to see your reaction over there. What just happened? Oh my goodness. We're seeing Jeffrey Creel saying, Jesper, I'll be joining the eCrit next week for Vision. I'm happy to hear that, Jeffrey. So, it looked like it was all set in stone, and Walsh, it may just have been bedtime in Australia, jumped off the bike and just decided that's enough. I'm done. I'm gonna head to the sheets. So looking further back now, we got Richard Cook and Ben Simpson now, second and actually first and second out on course now, and it looks like Richard Cook has caught back up now. 14 kilometers to go. A bit of adrenaline has been pumped into the race. I'm not sure if Ben Simpson and Richard Cook know that Walsh further up has thrown in the towel and has quit. Maybe there was a mechanical, maybe something happened. It looked rather fishy for a second. The cadence sensor was off. He just jumped off the bike and was done. So now Ben Simpson, second reel, Richard Cook further up, and we'll see if Ben Simpson is going to bridge across to Richard Cook, or Richard Cook is going to take the victory right here. Whew, what a turn of events. It looked like the race was all set. It looked like we're just waiting for him to cruise over the line with a two-handed salute, but not to be, not today now. As we're watching Ben Simpson, he said he wasn't feeling well today. He wasn't. There's some sort of bug going around, because I heard the same riders say that in the Eastern category, that several riders were not really feeling up to speed today. But it looks like Richard Cook will take advantage of this today, as he's got another 13 kilometers to go, 2 laps out on course, and Richard Cook now going over the Trafalgar Square climb, trying to put in more time on Ben Simpson, as he's sitting 5 seconds behind. But if Ben can recover, he can catch back up to Richard, and I think Ben has a better sprint on him. So he's just going to try to dig deep, try to find those reserves, and get up to Richard on the front. 5 seconds now between them, and it's looking solid now, as Cook is up to 7 seconds, catching up now. Maybe the news, maybe they've got the Facebook feed on, and they've just heard the news that Welsh has quit, and they're now sitting first and second, both fighting for 20 and 19 points out on course now, as Cook is settling at 3 watts per kilogram at 160 beats per minute, and it looks like Ben Simpson is slowly catching back up now. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, still sitting at 5 watts per kilogram. Cook now recovered just for a second, now kicking it back up to 5 watts per kilogram, and it looks like he's found a wheel out on course to try and draft off. So again, it's not quite a head-to-head battle, as we got Cook in the amongst the 3 Japanese riders out there, but at least he's going to the front. He's putting down the hurt, as we've got 13 kilometers to go out on course. Once we cross the start-finish banner here, we'll have 2 laps to go, as we're 40 minutes into the race. 2 riders off the front, Cook and Simpson. Last week, it was Simpson who left Cook in the dust. This time, it has turned around. So I want to hear your predictions over on Zwift Community Live in the comment section right now. Will Cook go all the way to the finish line and be the winner of the 4th race here in the Western Division, or will we see Mr. Ben Simpson take the victory and come back on and outsprint Richard Cook? Again, let me know over on Facebook or on Twitch. If you're watching on Twitch, let me know in the chat section. Thank you very much, by the way, for keeping me company today, as we're reaching about 1 o'clock here in Europe, and it is still about 8 o'clock on the western coast of Australia, as Cook and Simpson are putting out their efforts. 44 minutes into the race at 118 meters of altitude, total done so far. 43 kilometers an hour by Richard Cook, 32 kilometers into the race, about to hit under Admiralty Arch again, onto the red roads, pay the Queen a visit next to Buckingham Palace, and here we go. Richard Cook settling in, trying to hold the wheel of the riders in front of him, not to spend too much energy, while still keeping Ben Simpson at bay out there. They've had their fair share of duels, as Richard Cook is 4th place overall in the standings right now. We'll take a look at where Richard Cook, what has he done so far? So Richard Cook weighs 80 kilograms, have been averaging 308 watts so far, and he beats out of the max of 190 beats per minute, whereas Ben Simpson maxes out of about 186, and he's been close to that so far all the way throughout the race. He has been really digging deep in today's race. 17 seconds now, and it looks like the flu may have gotten the better of Ben today. So we're now watching Cook sit in the wheel of a rack picker of Japan. He's got that nice Trek kit out on course, which you could unlock last month if you took part in the Trek Segafredo community mission, I think that was. All you have to do is race or write in that kit, and you would unlock it afterwards. So we're looking at Cook sitting at 3 watts per kilogram. Still got another 30-40 beats to work with, really. So Cook comfortable sitting in. He may feel like he's got this one in the bag. Again, this may be the time, if you're racing out there, to make sure to stay hydrated, make sure to keep up the sugar depositor, because further behind we've actually got a group of riders battling for that 3rd and 4th place out on course. So again, cheers to everyone watching, cheers to all the riders. Maybe now is the time to get a slip of water in, as the action has slowed down a tiny bit. I'm quite excited, actually. Watching this race has got me pretty hyped, because I will also be racing myself later this evening. I'll be racing eCrit here local in the UK. So watching Ben Simpson, watching Richard Cook, it has definitely inspired me to go out there and give it my all today and never give up. You never know if the front rider gets a puncture or a power outage, or maybe it's just too late. You never know what's going to happen out there. So all you got to do is just dig deep. It looked like Ben Simpson had left Cook, but Cook came back, bridged that gap like it was nothing, and now he's got 10 kilometers to go. Once we cross the finish line here, it will be the final lap out there for Cook and Simpson here in the Western Division in the eCrit Series, powered by KISS. And that will round off a great day of racing here on Zwift Community Live, as we've got 2 racers yet to finish. It looks like behind Ben Simpson, he has to be a bit wary that Steve Yates and Hoskin doesn't catch back up. Hoskin has done a great job at TTing so far, controlling his efforts out there and just sticking with the front group. So make sure that you keep the rider behind you, and keep the rider in front of you within reach. That's really the main strategy to racing. Look over your shoulder at the best points and make sure the rider behind you stays behind you, as it's about the break of dawn, it looks like, as Richard Cook now is enjoying the scenery of London, still sitting in the wheel of Rag Picker of Japan, getting a nice tow there, as further behind Ben Simpson has got another group out there on course as well, also dragging him along. So let's give a ride on to both riders for their great efforts today, as they've been showcasing, they've been suffering, they've been putting out efforts for our pleasure. They are basically gladiators, putting out their efforts for the betterment of the crowd, and for that we do say massive thank you. It is a pleasure to watch you guys race, especially when you pour out your heart like Cook, like Welsh, like Hoskins, Simpson, Yates, and the rest of the guys, Gales. It's a pleasure to watch right now, right here on Zwift Community Live. Going up the false flat, Cook kicking up to 4.5 watts per kilogram, using that slight little 3 watts change of resistance, going up to 2 to 3% gradient. He'll still be spinning the same cadence, but he'll feel that his smart trainer will start to give him more resistance, and when you spin the same cadence with more resistance, you get more watts, and therefore you saw a little increase up to 4.5 watts per kilogram. And now when it flattens out, keeping the same resistance up, it goes back down to 3 watts per kilogram. Now sitting in the wheel again, 24 seconds down to Ben Simpson, and looks like Richard Gales had an off day. 33 kilometers of racing, about 3 kilometers behind the current leader right now, and he's done really well, but apologies. Yeah, it looks like he will not be in contention for today's races. We're about to enter the final lap now, when Richard Cook takes on the Trafalgar Square climb, goes over the top, and once again, it's quite fun to see. It's quite interesting to see the difference of racing quality between the East and the West in Australia. It seems like the biggest hitters all race the East category, whereas we get a lot of the Western guys here that like to TT the way off the front. It's interesting to see the change of dynamics between the two divisions, whereas the East division is non-stop attacks. It's relentless. It's attack after attack. Cameron Roberts, Troy Herfoss, you're seeing Nancy, these riders not letting anything up to chance, wanting to go solo, and whereas here in the Western Division, it's just a natural selection between Cook, Simpson, Gills. These riders, they stick with the front. Since it's a mass start, they stick with the strongest riders, and then every time they go up the climb, one rider gets put off. Next time up the climb, another rider gets dropped. Another time up the climb, another rider gets dropped. And there's just a natural selection to the Western category that's not in the Eastern, which makes the Western category a whole different ball game. And I do remind you that you cannot switch and pick between the two divisions you like to race. The points you gather in the Western division stay with you in the Western division, and the points you gather in the Eastern division stay with you in the Eastern division. So you can't just race half the season in the East and half the season in the West. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. You gotta pick one division and you gotta stick with it. Whew. All this talking has made me tired, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the broadcast as well. Non-stop waterfall. I got a question earlier today was, Jesper, you seem so out of breath. You seem exhausted. You talk so much. Why is it, Jesper? And the answer is simple. I put myself into the race. I put myself in the racer's position. I get so excited when I broadcast because I imagine right now what's going through the head of Richard Cook as he's going, okay, 42 seconds of Simpson. I've got this in the bag. I've got another lap of putting down solid threshold power while I keep drinking, I keep listening to my music. That's what I do. And then I put myself in Ben Simpson's position. I go, 44 seconds up. Come on. I got to dig deeper. 40 seconds. I can take 1 second here, 1 second there. And then suddenly we're down to 2 seconds. We're down to 5 seconds. That's what we got to do. And that's just, I live myself into it. I get really into it. And that's what makes this worth it because I speak to a lot of the racers out there. I have the pleasure of knowing a lot of the riders from Australia, from Europe, from America. And so I know these guys are putting out their best of their ability, and there's a certain part of me that just feels proud watching Cook, Simpson, Herfoss, Roberts, Anthony Vegan, Porsche. I mean, these riders really, really give it their all for our entertainment while we broadcast them. And I just want to say thank you. Because without you, I would not be so out of breath. Because even for me, this is a workout. This is a workout of me, keep talking, keep watching, keep broadcasting, keep commentating. And you guys just make it so easy. So to all the racers out there and to all the people watching and commentating, thank you so much for all the help. As we're about to enter the final lap out there, 200 meters to go. Going to cross another line, and then we're going to see Richard Cook enter his final lap, which at this point looks to be a parade lap. Unless Welsh somehow finds his way back into the race, turns on the power and catches back up, but I do heavily doubt that's going to be the case. Ben Simpson now a minute behind. He did say today was not his day, but he's only going to lose that 1 point. He still finishes second place, so the difference between first and second place is only 1 point, and the grand scheme of things, Richard Cook would need to beat Ben Simpson 20 times where they both finished first and second to really make a dent in the lead that Ben Simpson has right now. So if Simpson can just continue consistently finishing second place while Cook wins, this may be a great victory for Cook, but in the grand scheme of things, that gap is not going to get any smaller if you just take 1 second at a time. You're going to require bigger efforts. But the question is, do you really need bigger that? Because in the end, it's top 5 from each division that gets invited. So as long as you win, as long as you get your points, you could really care less what anyone else gets as long as you're in that top 5. It's when we get further into the racing, into the series, when we get to August, when we get to July, when it really starts to shape up and we see the same faces getting points and points and points, and you got 6th and 7th place, just missing 5 points to get into that top 5 and get their invite. That's when they start to, get excited and get like, we need to make alliances. We have to have this rider finish 5th while I finished 1st, because then I get 5 points on him. I move up, and that's when everything starts to get excited. We're still in that pioneer stage of Zwift. eCrit series where the bunch of riders are racing, trying to see if it's for them, see if they got the power. If they do, they come back every Tuesday. I know racers that have cleared their schedule from now to September just to participate in this every Tuesday to make sure that they get their points and they get that invite to the live racing finale. So this means a lot to several Australians out there around the globe. So keep racing, guys. Keep riding hard. It is a solid effort you're putting in. As we got 4 kilometers to go now, and it looks like Ben Simpson has a 40-second gap on Hoskin, and Cook is sitting at 4 watts per kilogram. 4 kilometers to go. Turn right, go up to Falls Flat, turn left at Big Ben, go up Whitehall climb, crest Trafalgar Square, go on the kilometer banner, and that's all there is to do today. That is, then the Fat Lady's going to sing, and today's race will come to an end. Again, if you want to race this race, it is happening every Tuesday at 7 o'clock on the eastern coast and 7 o'clock on the western coast. 2 different races at 2 different times, so do sign up, do have a go at it. You'll be broadcasted right here if you're at the pointy end of affairs. Thank you so much for keeping us company. After this broadcast, it's going to be it's going to be Lindsay Guerra with Life on the Road. I think it's going to be Life with Lindsay Guerra. Is that what the broadcast is called? She's going to be writing and giving out life and racing tips. I do believe she won a mountain bike race the other day and won like $500 American in like prize pool. So well done for that, Lindsay. Good job. And if you want to hear her tell all about that, then just tune in right after this broadcast right here on Zwift Community Live, as she will be broadcasting her endurance ride out on Zwift today. Going up the Falls Flat for the final time. Night has fallen upon the racers, but it has been a star-struck effort from Richard Cook to get one over on Ben Simpson, because last week Ben Simpson did this exact thing to Richard Cook, but today it'll be Richard Cook putting up to 5 watts per kilogram now. He's going to turn left, and then he's going to have about 2 kilometers to go of racing. It's been excellent, and Johnny Nuttall says it's called Life and Cycling with Mrs. Coach. So that's what it's called, and it's coming up right after this. So stay tuned if you want to watch more Zwift racing out here on Zwift Community Live now. Richard Cook has been drugged by his companion by a rag picker from Japan, it looks like, but for him it's not going to matter much, as he's just going to sit in, he's going to turn left, and at this point I think he's realized that he's got it in the bag, bearing any injuries. He's going to get to the top now, TT to the end. Maybe he's going to try to do a battle against the clock, see if he can get to the finish line in under an hour. It'll be a great racing. Let's take a look. Let's see the change of speed between the 2 categories. It'll be kind of fun to have a look at the Eastern category to see the pace they put out in today's race compared to the one here in the Western category. So the East, they had 62 racers signed up, and they did it in 57 minutes. What? Sorry, is it 57? They did it in 56.59. So the Western category here has been racing about 3 minutes slower than the Eastern category, but that's due to the sheer nature of how the race panned out. And it's due to the fact that we've had solo riders all around the world, all around the road, no drafting. It's been solo TT efforts all the way to the finish line. I mean, in theory, Richard Cook could have stopped, changed to a TT bike, and then gained a lot of speed on this course as he TT'd around at 4 watts per kilogram now. 1.6 kilometers to go. He's about to see the La Flamme Rouge, the final kilometer banner on the left side. That means he's got 1 kilometer to go, and then he has won the 4th race in the Western Division here in the eCrit Series, powered by KISS. We'll be back same time next week, hopefully with more racers. We'll see if Walsh can come back on and race, and maybe he'll be ready. 30 kilometers in, he decided, I've had enough, I'm done. So if you just tuned in, we had an early attack from Mr. Welsh, who went off the front, had a solid minute and a half in the rest of the competition. 30 kilometers in, he pops a tire, he loses a crank, bike malfunctioning, and suddenly, bam, he's gone. And then we got Richard Cook and Ben Simpson 2nd and 3rd place. Suddenly, 1st and 2nd now, battling it out for the position out on road. So it looks like Richard Cook is going to take 20 points, whereas we're going to have Ben Simpson take 19, and then we're going to have Hoskin and Yates fight for 18 points behind. 18 and 17 respectfully further behind now. It's 1 kilometer to go. Richard Cook about to go under the line here, and he's just going to TT to the finish line. Once he's done, he can have a nice cold water, maybe a little light refreshment, maybe have a nice shower, say hi to the family, be like, hey, you know, I just won. I just won the the West eCrit series. Maybe get a hug from his family, and then, because this is a real effort. I mean, winning a race like this is no joke. It takes a serious workout to get to the front of these races, because everyone out there is battling for position on the front. Everyone wants to be the winner, and it looks like there can only be one winner today, and that is gonna be Richard Cook. Under Admiralty Arch, 650 meters to go, 600 now, 550. You can see the 300-meter to go banner down there in the left-hand corner, and then he can just cruise over the line. I really wish Zwift has some sort of celebration feature that would throw your arms in the air if you were to win, but we'll see Richard Cook now, putting up to 5 watts per kilogram. Maybe he'll put on a little show for us, show us some orange numbers out there. It does not look to be the case, though. 200 meters to go, 150 meters to go, and Richard Cook has gone and done it. He's won the 4th race here in the eCrit series from the Western Division. Oh, well done. We're going to go further back now and try to catch up with the riders further behind now, as Ben Simpson is still yet to finish in 2nd place, and we're going to try to catch the 3rd and 4th sprint for the line as well. Ben Simpson looks to be over a minute behind, in fact, as we're still waiting for him to show up in the group riders nearby list. As where is he? We got Richard Gills. We actually have to move further up. We're so far behind. So if we move further up here, we should be able to see him out on course. Richard Gills right here, also about to finish with Shucks, but Richard Gills is so far behind. He's not actually in the race. We got I'm on roller, so I can't chat, as we're trying to catch the front of the group, because I know there's Yates, I know there's Ben Simpson out here, who are all playing a vital role in the race, but it looks like I actually can't catch up to them right now out on course, so we may actually miss the finish here, as the current Zwift broadcasting tools just aren't there to jump to the front. I'm currently stuck right now on Mr. Rollers here, so Ben Simpson, Yates, and Hoskins are all at the front, and we're stuck right here at the back. So if there was like a free roaming feature, that'd be really cool right about now. There we go, Hoskin. There we go. We're going to see a sprint off between... No, it looks like Hoskin is going to go and come here. It looks like Yates has dropped him, I would assume, as Hoskin is about to come over the line. That means Simpson has already finished, and Yates has also finished as well. So that is your top 4, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching today. My name has been Jesper Anchor, and as always, I will see you again next week. Actually, I'll see you maybe on Thursday if you would take in the Kiss Down Under. But anyway, that's been it for the eCrit series today, and I will see you guys next week.